The GR11 is one of Europe's great long-distance hiking trails, and yet one that is not very well known. People are, of course, familiar with the Caminos or with the West Highland Way in Scotland or the Tour de Mont Blanc, but the GR11, with its somewhat technical sounding name, is not very well known, and even less people have hiked it. I hiked the trail in summer 2025, and I've documented my journey in vlogs. If you haven't seen those, you can access the playlist here or in a video description. In this new video series, I want to give you all the information you need to hike the trail yourself. This first video will be an introduction to the GR11, what is the trail, and to answer you the question if it is a trail that you might be interested in. In the following videos, I will go into detail of important topics such as equipment you need, logistics, and route planning. So what is the GR11? The GR11 is also known as the Ruta Transpyrenaica, and it is a hiking trail that crosses the entire length of the Pyrenees mountains on the Spanish side and in Andorra. You can hike from east to west or from west to east. I hike the trail from west to east, and that's also what I would recommend, as you then have a much more beautiful finish line. I will therefore describe the trail eastbound. If you want to hike the other way around, which is of course possible, simply reverse the direction, specific information that I'm giving. That shouldn't be a problem. The trail starts in a Basque country on the Atlantic coast and ends after about 800 to 850 kilometers later on the Mediterranean coast in Catalonia. Over the entire route, you have to climb more than 40,000 meters in altitude. And during this very long journey, you will cross a variety of different landscapes. The trail can roughly be divided into 5 sections. The first section starts at the Atlantic Ocean and is characterized by the gentle green hills of the Basque Country as you slowly gain altitude. The second section leads through high alpine terrain with challenging mountain passes and spectacular landscapes such as the Ordesa Canyon and the Monte Perdido Massif before the trail descends down to Pazan. The third section leads through the heart of the Pyrenees around its highest mountain, which is called Aneto. You will hike through flower-filled valleys, alpine lakes, and it's just overall absolutely spectacular. The fourth section connects lower, densely wooded landscapes and old Catalan villages with, again, high passes in Andorra before the trail leads back to Spain after a few days in Andorra. The fifth and last section leads from the monastery of Nuria over the highest ridge of the entire trail with incredible views through forests of cork trees, to old Catalan villages, past rivers, to the Mediterranean Sea, and ends at Cap de Creus, which is the easternmost point of the mainland of Spain. The trail itself leads along old shepherd's paths, forest trails, through a high mountain terrain, villages, remote valleys, but also partly along roads and tracks. Hikers will experience a variety of nature reserves and national parks and can look forward to a rich variety of flora and fauna. The GR11 is traditionally undertaken as a tent trekking tour, meaning that most people wild camp throughout most of the time. There are also mountain huts along some sections where you can stay in dormitories, and in addition there are guest houses and hotels in all the small mountain villages that you will pass. Food supplies are relatively easy to come by, and I rarely carried food for more than 4 days. The trail is only hiked in the summer, as there is too much snow in the other seasons, and snow can still be a serious challenge in the higher elevations until June. So if you start early, make sure to check the snow levels. Most people hike the trail in August. That means July and September are somewhat quieter. The start and end points can be accessed by public transport pretty easily, and there are also other points along the way where you can exit or start. However, some parts are so remote that it takes several days to reach the next major town from them. So if you want to do only a section of the trail, you should be aware of limited public transport in some of the places. The GR11 is not a walk in the park, but it is not an extreme sport either. You do not need alpine climbing experience, but endurance, sure-footedness, and a certain basic experience with the conditions in nature and especially in the mountains are important. There are some sections that are technically demanding and can only be partially bypassed, so you should have some experience of walking on scree and hiking over rocks. If you are only familiar with gravel paths, I would recommend practicing on day trips in the mountains first to see if you are capable of hiking in such a terrain. You should also have experience of multi-day trips, ideally with a tent. Although it is possible to hike the entire trail without camping equipment, that would require very detailed planning and long stages. And plans can change completely in the mountains at any time. I have experienced it more than once on the GR11. However, if you have already done some hiking and have been in the mountains away from the tourist paths, or you're an experienced hiker, then the GR11 is definitely suitable for you and you should definitely hike it. Another factor is time. It took me 32 days to complete the trail, including some mandatory rest days. I would say that very fast hikers can do the entire trail in 25 days. Average hikers should plan about 35 days and slower hikers should plan 40 plus days. I had thought beforehand that I would be able to cover more kilometers every day, but there were days when I managed to do only 1.5 kilometers in an hour, and I would describe myself as a fast and experienced hiker. So if you want to hike the entire trail in one go, you should plan on 4 to 6 weeks. It's better to have a bit more time than a bit too little, and if you find that you're hiking faster than expected, there are plenty of good opportunities for side trips everywhere. The GR11 is not a perfectly organized long-distance hiking trail like, for example, the Pacific Crest Trail. Markings are not equally good everywhere, huts have irregular opening hours, and you have to plan your stages yourself. Although there are suggestions for stages in the guidebooks, I almost never took them into account as they do not represent a realistic daily itinerary. But they are designed so that you will find some sort of infrastructure at the end of these stages, like a village or a mountain hut. If, as I would recommend, you are traveling with a tent, then you cannot follow these suggestions and must plan your own stages because usually you cannot camp in the villages. But that should not be a problem, and I will cover this in a later episode of this series. Water in particular is also an issue on some sections and must be carefully planned because it's not available all the time, but also about this I will do another video in the future. Flexibility and adaptability are important skills to hike this trail, as the weather, your exhaustion, supermarket opening hours, and so on can constantly present you with challenges. For example, many supermarkets close during the high time of the day, let's say between 1 and 5. So if you had planned to resupply in one of those, you must be either very early or very late. That is kind of standard in Spain, and it can be quite challenging because that's usually the time where you're in town. In return to all these challenges, you get something that has become rare on more popular trails, a real adventure. The GR11 is an adventure like no other. Everything seems a bit improvised, but that is the charm of this trail. And there are many challenges, but it's still relatively easy to manage logistically. So you can really get away from civilization and live an adventurous life without having to organize a lot in advance. Now I would like to go more into the details about the difficulties that ultimately determine whether you feel confident enough to tackle the GR11 or not. Technically, the GR11 is mostly moderate, with a few exceptions that can be quite challenging, but the difficulty of the trail arises from the altitude difference that has to be overcome every single day, sometimes days in a row. I climbed an average of 1400 meters per day, which means that in some days I covered more than 2000 meters of elevation gain, and that is exhausting and challenging. I set off completely untrained and really struggled. So if you're fit, you will have less problems, of course. Over the time, however, your body will get used to the challenge and you will build up your fitness. Your feet also get used to the strain. At the beginning, I had really terrible blisters, which turned into thick skin about halfway through the tour, and then it was okay. The knee joints are also put under a lot of strain by some extremely steep descents. These come about halfway through the tour, and there is no preparation for that beforehand. These descents were the hardest I had ever done in 15 years of backpacking. And they also led to my break in the end. Not because I hurt my knees, but because I hurt my shoulder, which during these descents, I tightened unconsciously, and I was done. Of course, none of these things have to happen to you. I just want to make clear that the trail is not a walk in the park, and it is physically demanding even for an experienced hiker. What many people also underestimate is the mental challenge. You are often alone for days on end, and you have to deal with changes in the weather, frequent changes of plan, physical exertion that is also mentally difficult, and the constant uncertainty what the day will bring. These are challenges that have to be overcome, and everybody is different, and only you yourself will know how you deal with things like that. Personally, for example, I really enjoy being alone, but during a thunderstorm in the mountains, which you will definitely experience in the Pyrenees, I do feel a bit uneasy and would wish to be with other people, but that's just one example. The GR11 forces you into situations that will challenge you mentally time and time again. Ultimately, however, these also contribute to the adventurous nature of the trail. And all of these things are things that can be overcome. That being said, every difficulty is rewarded 2 or 3 times over by the breathtaking landscape, encounters with wild animals, and charming old villages. I say the physical and mental challenges are definitely worth it to experience all the highlight that GR11 has to offer. If you need comfort, fixed stages, and planning security, then the GR11 will be exhausting to you. But if you're looking for freedom, and if you can cope with uncertainty and have a bit of a thirst for adventure, then it is just right for you. And with that, I would like to conclude this first video of the series. I hope you've gotten a little taste of what the trail is like and can now answer the question to yourself of whether the trail is right for you or not. If you're interested in the trail, then I look forward to seeing you in my next video of this series. We will really get into it then, and I will tell you what equipment I had with me and what I think you need to hike the GR11. So subscribe to the channel, activate the bell so you don't miss it. I would also appreciate a like and a comment. If you have any questions, for example, about the trail, feel free to ask them in the comments and I will be happy to answer them. Until then, I wish you all the best and see you next time. Ciao!